her big play here, Dan, is to merch the kids. We always knew this was going to happen at some point because they do need money, they do need cash, and the kids are just an easy avenue for that. But I can't imagine Prince Harry is happy because she's exploiting them to get followers, people to sign up for the emails for this new rebrand for the 12th time, as if this is going to work any better than the first 11. And it's just sort of an epic disaster and train wreck. And I can't, again, look at Harry and how he sees and views the media. And if he can't see that his wife is exploiting their children for profit and gain, I just don't know where you can take him because he's obviously a huge hypocrite in that way.
As ever, Meghan Markle is a business disaster. As ever, Meghan Markle is prepared to exploit her so-called children for financial gain. As ever, Meghan Markle's husband is a pawn in her failed attempt to take over the world. And as ever, we see through it. We were first before the mainstream media. And goodness me, isn't this a joy to behold such a failure? Let me bring in Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network. Now, Brittany, so much to discuss on this, of course, but first, let's put ourselves through Meghan's Instagram announcement of the fact that American Riviera Orchard is no more because she mucked up and watched the sensational spin, which of course is filmed by her little man-baby assistant. Oh, no, sorry, actually, it's her husband, Prince Harry. Watch.
It's recording.
Okay. Cat's out of the bag. I'm shocked we've kept this a secret for so long. In 2 weeks, my show is coming out, which I'm so excited for. And also my business, which I think there's been a lot of curiosity about.
Why is she whispering?
Last year, I had thought, you know what, American Riviera, that sounds like such a great name. It's my neighborhood. It's a nickname for Santa Barbara. But it limited me to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. Then Netflix came on, not just as my partner in the show, but as my partner in my business, which was huge. So I thought about it. And I've been waiting for a moment to share a name that I had secured in 2022. And this is the moment. And it's called As Ever. As Ever essentially means as it's always been. And if you followed me since 2014 with the TIG, you know I've always loved cooking and crafting and gardening. This is what I do, and I haven't been able to share it with you in the same way for the past few years, but now I can. So as things are starting to trickle out there, I wanted you to hear it from me first. Of course, there will be fruit preserves. I think we're all clear at this point that jam is my jam. But there's so many more products that I just love that I use in my home, and now it's time to share it with you. So I can't wait for you to see it. Thanks, guys.
Oh, my Lord. Where is that sick bucket, Brittany? I always need it for these Instagram videos. But in all seriousness, there is so much to unpick here. Firstly, though, the children, because this is what is really upsetting Prince Harry. If we look at these new images for As Ever, yet again, one of the children in a very weird pose. What on earth is she playing at?
Well, I mean, it's so obvious that her big play here, Dan, is to merch the kids. We always knew this was going to happen at some point because they do need money, they do need cash, and the kids are just an easy avenue for that. But I can't imagine Prince Harry is happy because she's exploiting them to get followers, people to sign up for the emails for this new rebrand for the 12th time, as if this is going to work any better than the first 11. And it's just sort of an epic disaster and train wreck. And I can't, again, look at Harry and how he sees and views the media. And if he can't see that his wife is exploiting their children for profit and gain, I just don't know where you can take him because he's obviously a huge hypocrite in that way. And you look back to the first product she promoted, which is for the defunct American Riviera Orchard brand, which is jam. Jam, not only can you buy it in the supermarket for super cheap, you can actually make it for super cheap yourself as well. I made it actually last week. It's not that hard. And so there is no original thought here. There seems to be no good or concrete business plan to this entire endeavor. It just seems to be like an absolute mess, is that she's ripping off other people and she has nothing original to offer. Even the video last week that we saw the kids doing the strawberries on the bagels and cream cheese and everything. And people are like, we've seen this 10 times before. It's all over Pinterest or anything that you can find regarding Valentine's Day. So I think when it comes to Netflix investing in her and investing in the show, I think the big drawback is because she has no original ideas. How is this show going to play out? Because so far, we've seen a woman who's just simply copying everybody else and doing it to a lesser degree. And that does not justify a potentially $100 million deal from Netflix.
Of course it doesn't. I mean, this is total desperation in their vision, and it is simply because she managed to befriend Ted Sarandos, the chief executive. That's the only reason she is even getting this opportunity at all. But what's so hilarious, Brittany, is the fact that she is trying to suggest in some way this is a positive thing. Her whole business has fallen apart. This is a completely cack-handed strategy. She was responsible for it as the chief executive. And the only reason she had to change the name was nothing to do with the area. It's because she could not secure an American Riviera trademark.
Yes, 100%. That, Dan, is the actual reason. She's trying to sugarcoat it and massage it. But she launched American Riviera Orchard almost a year ago now. It was March 14th. She launched it. She sent out products related to it. And then all of a sudden she's going, oh, no, it was just too geographically limited. I was like, but that was always the case. So are you telling us you didn't do your proper research into how to run a business based on a geographical location name? That obviously signifies once again that she's not a great business person. This is really just an epic train wreck. And then she's going, well, I secured this name. So it's like, so we're going with plan C or D at this point. I'm unclear about where in the whole cacophony of this disaster where we're standing here with the various names. But it seems like she's just, as so many people I've seen on social media suggest, just keeps throwing things against the wall to see what sticks. And that does not a good business strategy make. It's just an absolute disaster. She can't, I think, get around that. Anybody with half a business sense knows that she really screwed up here. She really, really screwed up.
Of course she did. Of course she did. And the hilarious thing is, Brittany, there was obviously the expected dig at the British royal family. Did you notice that? I haven't been able to do this for years, as if it was such a trauma for her to actually be in the world's most important royal institution where she had an opportunity to genuinely change the world through causes. Now she's going to be pimping herself out to the highest commercial bidder. But yet, of course, it was the royal family trying to silence her again, Brittany, and we should all feel so terrible for her.
Oh, the poor, poor soul. I mean, she had to live in palaces and go and do royal engagements and potentially wear gorgeous jewelry. Of course, that was too much of a burden to bear when she wanted to turn a buck. I think it always goes to show that Meghan Markle's sole motivation for marrying Harry, I think, was solely for greed. She wanted to monetize the monarchy. She wanted to monetize her role in it. I think to say anything else is a complete and utter lie. And the thing is, when it comes to her claiming, oh, well, I couldn't do what I wanted, it's like, well, yeah, you could. YouTube exists, social media exists. You wanted to get somebody else to finance it for you because she's too chicken to actually totally invest in it herself. She built the TIG basically from the ground up. Why couldn't she do this on various social media platforms? She had years now. It's 5 years plus since Mexit. She's had 5 years to get her ducks in a row if this was her true vision. But she didn't. This sort of looks hackshot. It looks kind of rushed and put together. I mean, even yesterday, the tab for that website still read Netflix ARO, American Riviera Orchard. So this was sort of a last minute switch. She filmed, I think, the entire show before realizing they were never going to get the trademarks and having to shift the name. This is a complete disaster. Somebody who does not have an actual vision. And I'm sorry, but a lot of companies fail because sometimes people are just solely after the greed and not about seeing that there has to be a vision to this company. And I don't think there is. And that's why I think most likely it'll fail. And also because she's not a well-liked person. So that's not going to work well in her favor at all.
There's no vision whatsoever, Brittany. I mean, all of these assets, for example, are just rehashed from the original American Riviera Orchard shoot. Look at this. The American Riviera Orchard Instagram account still has 596,000 followers and hasn't been updated at all. And when you actually look at the experts in this area, Brittany, all of them are absolutely critical and scathing of Meghan's complete failure. So one source telling the Daily Beast in America, again, a publication that used to be favorable to Meghan Markle, there are only so many relaunches you can do before you start to look ridiculous. Then Mark Bukowski, Britain's leading PR guru and crisis manager, says this isn't an identity crisis, it's a business model. Meghan isn't floundering, she's fluctuating on purpose. The perpetual reinvention, the strategic vagueness, it's all by design. No, it's a TV show. No, it's a jam. No, it's a vague atmospheric brand called As Ever. The more unpredictable she is, the harder it is to take her down. She's not trying to be Goop. She's trying to be a mystery. The product she's selling, endless curiosity about Meghan Markle. So maybe she's not losing control of her narrative. Maybe we are. I'm sorry, Brittany. What absolute rubbish. I like Mark Bukowski, but to try and suggest that this is anything other than a complete disaster because Meghan has lost all her good staff members, has lost anyone who is prepared to stand up to her and tell her that this is an absolute joke, because the only people who remain are bullied into oblivion.
Absolutely, Dan. And when you look at this situation as well, she told people to sign up for her website, American Riviera Orchard, just because I'm a journalist. I did. So she gave a false premise. She promoted false products. Basically, this company now is built on a lie. And so what she has done, which is truly detrimental to her business, is lose the faith of her audience. To a certain extent, she said, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm showing you guys jam. I'm showing you this logo. I mean, she did all of this. And then it's like, oops, no, sorry, couldn't get the trademark. So here, you get my third wheel or whatever. And she's asking people to sign up yet again. And I feel like this is just totally a disservice to your audience. I mean, she got 600,000 people to follow her Instagram. And then she's just going to abandon it. I mean, that's insane to me. That is completely and totally insane. I mean, I think she'll just rebrand it to As Ever. But again, it's that whole thing of you promoted something for well over a year. She didn't like do the thing where maybe she dropped it and then didn't do anything with it. She fully on promoted it as if it was going to be a real thing and then just ghosted it when it didn't work and is now telling the audience. And I think most people are just like, I trust her. You know, I would imagine most people trust her a little less now. And that's not going to do well for her.
No, of course it's
That's not what you want to do as a business.
Why would you buy this product
all the distrust?
apart from absolute
Exactly.
curiosity? Also, Brittany, I love that you're charitable, but she didn't get 596,000 followers. Bot farm after bot farm after bot farm. Same with the Meghan account. The Sussex squad are very good at that. She works with agencies that pull the strings. She didn't get that many that quickly. It is worth having a look at her letter to Brittany that we can decode. So she posted, some of you may have heard whispers about what I've been creating. In 2 weeks, my series on Netflix launches, but there's something else I've been working on. I'm thrilled to introduce you to As Ever, a brand that I created and have poured my heart into. As Ever means as it's always been, or some even say in the same way as always. If you've followed along since my days of creating the TIG, you'll know this couldn't be truer for me. This new chapter is an extension of what has always been my love language, beautifully weaving together everything I cherish: food, gardening, entertaining, thoughtful living, and finding joy in the everyday. I will keep sharing behind the scenes tidbits with you here as we ramp up to launch, and I can't wait for you to get your hands on everything we've been creating. Sending lots of love, As Ever, Meghan. Now, this is where, Brittany, the revelations about her over a number of years simply do not correlate with the image that she is trying to present to her public. And remember, she needs her public on side now because they want to buy her product, or she needs them to want to buy her product. So how on earth can she have the cheek to talk about a love language of thoughtful living, of finding joy in the everyday, when her own staff, Brittany, the people who have been there for her through thick and thin, describe her as the dictator duchess in high heels?
Oh, yes, absolutely. She is just this whole thing is just an epic train wreck. And she promised these people, if you sign up for my email, you get a seat at the table. And I'm like, but you've kicked people out of the table. Like we know she's kicked her in-laws out, she's kicked her own family out. So this idea that she's preparing some sort of great table for all of us to gather at is just a complete and total farce. And then you add in addition, she's poured her heart into this. And it's like, but you just changed the name. So obviously you didn't because you keep changing things when things don't work out quite as well. So you haven't been pouring your whole art into it because if you had, you wouldn't be making these amateur mistakes in the first place. These mistakes are all completely and utterly amateur and could be totally avoidable. But she didn't avoid them at all. And so she just stepped right into it. So this idea that she's been working on this thing the whole time and everything is just sort of ridiculous. And it's also another terrible brand name, if I'm going to be quite honest. I don't necessarily like this one either. So it's just this whole thing is just such a mess. And I imagine her poor staff have been just dealing with absolute chaos for the last several weeks as she, I think, is starting to get a little panicked here. I think Netflix is putting a lot of pressure on her to make sure this is successful. And I think they're seeing the warning signs and going, we're not sure, but they've invested. So they're stuck too. And this thing could be another disaster. We just don't know yet.
Well, they're one of the only companies in the world that still has money to burn. I don't think it's going to last, though. And Brittany, even the basics haven't been done. But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected, but I've been thinking a lot lately about the need for personal protection online from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers. But don't worry, I have found the fail-safe solution. And what's more, this VPN is a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible, easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activities stay safe, allowing you to shop, to stream, to browse, to conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark go way beyond keeping you safe online. This service allows you to access your favorite entertainment or news shows or channels, or access, by the way, to streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, and Peacock. Or if you've got a streaming service already, but your favorite show happens to be geo-blocked, maybe on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, within seconds, you can actually be watching as if you are in another country. This is such a good service. Really helps, by the way, if you're traveling for work or on holiday and you want to get your favorite local content from home, including sports, which is very often subject to geo-blocking. Plus, Surfshark has an insurance policy against creeping censorship in many countries which block some of these services. Effectively, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. It is true freedom. There's also so much you can do with VPNs, right? It's a way to save you money and get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. So you can actually sign in to multiple countries and check the price before buying. There are other benefits too. Surfshark is available to use on unlimited devices, which means your entire household, so your husband, your wife, your kids, can stay safe with just one subscription. And there are over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, meaning a world of choices at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if it is your first time using a VPN. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, Surfshark is so confident they're the best VPN in the world that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you will get your money back. So go to www.surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show. I have to say, I love the incredible folk on X, because, by the way, this was actually revealed by one of those people. And look at this from Princess Carparkle. Maybe Meghan Markle should have checked to see if there were any other brands named as ever. That is a simple Google search, Megsy. And there it is, as ever. is a brand of clothing founded in 2013 by a husband and wife duo. So even the basics haven't been done again. This is just amateur hour.
Oh, it is. Like even when I created my channel, Royal News Network, it's easy to remember. Nobody else had that name really, so I like got all the social medias on it and everything. And I did my research. Outspoken fits for you. You're outspoken, and so that is fantastic. But her stuff is just meandering all over the place. And I have a degree in history, and even I know this is bad business practices. I imagine in years to come in marketing and business classes, they will analyze this whole debacle as some sort of great example of what
Give me
not
pop.
to do when it comes to actually starting a business. Because I think she's starting at a deficit basically. She's messed up so much that she's already sort of below. This is not anticipation. We're confused because she's done such a bad job. She keeps saying, "Oh, you're excited and anxious to see your products." I was like, "No, we're not. We're just confused about what you're going to offer because you seem to be all over the place and have no vision." And that does not a good brand launch make. And my suggestion to her, actually, probably last year at some point, was to have Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen had a handful of really key products they worked really, really hard for when they launched the row. And it ended up being massively successful. And they're still reaping the rewards of that to this day. Meghan Markle, I mean, her products are jam, which is so just basic and average that anybody can do it. And then you have like dog biscuits, and this is all she has. Really? I mean, I just can't think anybody's like super excited to buy Meghan Markle's jam that she didn't even touch because it was made in a factory somewhere. I just don't think anybody's going to be excited really for any of this.
Oh, absolutely not. And the thing is, Brittany, this is going to be tat. It is going to be low quality tat because
Mhm.
that's what Meghan deals in, unless it's someone else who is actually making it. But I find, I guess, what is so extraordinarily bad practice here is that Meghan is still trying to sell a personality. And I think this really is the fundamental point. She's trying to sell a personality that the world knows isn't true. And that doesn't work if you're wanting to get into the lifestyle business. Look at Martha Stewart. She never tried to convince the world that she was some absolutely be kind princess. That's not what her brand was about. And for someone to want to buy into a lifestyle brand, you need to be brutally honest about who you really are. Gwyneth Paltrow, for example, leans into some of her quirky behavior. She's not trying to be normal. She's not trying to be the nice, sweet girl next door. And Meghan has never worked out because I think she's too stubborn to believe that we actually know she's a nasty piece of work. Actually, being a nasty piece of work doesn't preclude you from having a successful lifestyle business. You just can't keep lying about who you really are.
Oh, yes, Stan, I 100% agree because what she can do and what she hasn't done is actually be herself. Even in that video, it's highly edited, it's highly contrived. She's like sort of whispering and trying to make this dramatic, and it sort of looks ridiculous. And I feel like this is like several years behind the social media curve as well. And I think instead of trying to be earnest, because as some people pointed out, they try to be earnest too much and it doesn't work because they should really almost lean into the sleaze of things, is that she should really work towards actually just being her authentic self. And yes, that might be a nasty piece of work, but hey, maybe you'll sell more if you're actually honest and people think they're actually seeing the real you. The problem is, I don't know who the real Meghan Markle is. I mean, I know who I think she is, but she tries to sort of mask that all the time because she's too scared to show the real her, which is probably a little bit of an indication of what she's probably really like behind the scenes, which we've gotten many, many indications of. But I think for a business, this is a disaster, especially for a lifestyle. The Kardashians are a little ridiculous, but they sort of lean into the campiness of themselves and it works. I think Meghan Markle just does not see the obvious. And I think, yes, her diehards will love this, but I think most other people are going to be like, we'll pass. We can get the jam at the supermarket or at the farmer's market, and we don't have to pay a premium price just because it was made by a duchess, and we can support the local community
Yeah.
instead.
I mean, there's no way I want to pay to try and support Meghan Markle in her 16 bathroom mansion in Montecito. By the way, I think I know the real Meghan Markle, actually. She's a ruthless woman who cares about no one other than herself. She's someone that will throw the closest people in her life under the bus if she feels that that is advantageous to her career, be it her own father, be it her school best friends, be it her closest showbiz pal. And she is someone who demands total loyalty from those around her while treating them like a piece of dirt. That is the real Meghan Markle. And that is so far from the joyful, I just want to make your life better type approach that she wants us to believe. That's what's so crazy. Now, look, I have to talk to you as well, Brittany, about the Valentine's Day drop. You posted on this saying, things are getting desperate. Meghan's now teasing the children and also trying to promote With Love Meghan. Her idea for Valentine's Day is, wait for it, cutting strawberries like hard. Groundbreaking idea, I'm sure. Netflix paid $100 million for this. Seriously? But I did find these Valentine's drop incredibly sinister, actually, because we had the revelation of the children for the first time in a social media post. Okay, their faces were not in it, Brittany, but do not tell me that this fits in any way with Prince Harry's legal or PR strategy, which is all about the dangers of social media, specifically for children. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing was that revolting PDA image and message in the black and white, which was meant to convince us all that actually everything's fine between us, even though we've seen the most uncomfortable body language for the entire week in Vancouver and Whistler. But most telling for me is that this release came on a day that Prince Harry could do nothing about it, could he? He was all tied up at the Invictus Games, which she had been sent home from.
Yes, and I think what I see is this whole thing is that, they're doing this thing where he's claiming to want to protect children from the dangers of social media. And yet now his kids are going to be exploited on it. And yes, you can't see their faces, but essentially that's what they're doing, is exploiting the kids for likes and clicks and interactions and those sorts of things. So he's a complete and massive hypocrite. And yes, he can't control everything his wife does, but I imagine he has to at least be aware of some of this. And maybe she's trying to massage it and go, oh, honey, but I'm not showing the kids' faces. They'll be fine. No, you're still exploiting your kids. My line has always been, you either talk about the kids and show the kids, or you don't really talk about the kids much at all and you don't show the kids. That's a way to do it, because this teasing this game, I think people find it really irritating after a while, because it's like you're giving us these glimpses and then you're not giving us the full effect. And I think people sort of get sick of that game. And I think other people can do it well and just be themselves. Like you see Hollywood stars, a lot of them don't talk about their kids because they are the business person. They are the one in the spotlight. Maybe they'll share little anecdotes. But I think as things get more and more desperate, they'll start to use the kids more because people like the kids. In fact, when it comes to family vlogging, like some of the biggest impacts are having the kids on there. And people like to talk about how, that's exploitative to the kids. And here's what Harry and Meghan are doing now. So it's very clear where she is going. And this is all just going to, I think, cause tension between Harry and Meghan and just make their campaign on social media just look like the joke that it is.
Yeah, well, of course it is, because when it comes to the Valentine's Day drop, Royally Sage posted, and I totally agree, Harry hates this and she does not care. According to Taz, also pointed out the fact that she was using this love wins term. And I think she made a very fair point, saying no one was against you. Everyone wished them well. They had an unbelievable outpouring of love, goodwill and support from our country, from royal fans and from the public, and more importantly, from Harry's family. They decided to torch it all and play victim. And you wrote, Brittany, specifically in terms of the PDA, we saw these two slobbering all over each other at Invictus. We didn't need more of it. Also, how's the divorce book shopping going? Which I actually think is a very good point, because remember, you aren't in love if you're shopping to publishers, as Vanity Fair quite rightly revealed, the book of your divorce to come. There was another really nasty side to this, Brittany, of course, though, which was that Meghan was purposefully trying to outdo William and Catherine, who posted their very tasteful first ever Valentine's social media after what had been a really traumatic year for them. So you can completely understand why they wanted to do that. And there you said, one is classy and cute, the other is tacky and cringe. And your take on this, Brittany, was Meghan can't help but copy, especially when she will always feel inferior. William and Catherine only felt the need to sign with a love heart, nothing more and nothing less. Meghan, of course, needed a long and inane diatribe on my love and seeing then suck face again to sell it. So you believe that this really was a response, Brittany, to Catherine?
Well, I mean, I could definitely see where when Megan maybe was already planning something. I could definitely see that. But when you look at Catherine and William and that kiss and that they released it, you could say sort of early in the day. Megan released hers very early in the day too, as if when she first woke up, she saw that for the first time. She's like, "Oh, I got to get this on now to compete." And when you look at Harry and Meghan, it's just sort of tacky. Like they're having lunch. He's not even touching her. There's no like real interaction in a way. She's cupping his face again, which I sort of dubbed the narcissistic kiss when you cut both sides of their face. We saw that and Friends, a very famous instance. And it's just sort of really tacky. And Catherine Williams is just cute. It's a very natural interaction. And I feel like every time Harry and Meghan try to sell their love more and more, the less I believe it because it looks ever more performative rather than something natural. And I think as the tensions grow, as the company gets more and more challenging, as Harry's not pulling in any more money because he's decided basically he can't work except for doing pseudo royal things. So the money is sort of starting to slowly dwindle. And some of the money I'm sure they were going to get from Netflix is now going to produce her products. And Netflix is going to get a much bigger cut of her products because they're the one producing them. They're the ones who are financially backing a good portion of it. So the financial issues are growing. This house was at the top of their price range. They need massive infusions of cash to keep it going, their security and everything. This is a couple who has to be living under a lot of stress. And rather than, I don't want to say they should be showing us their stress, but I feel like the more they try to show us how much in love they are, the less I actually believe it.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.